Okay, so what I've called this is, I call it my vision, but it's a vision that's made up of many different people's ideas, but it's my vision of the future, 10 steps in getting to that future,
Okay.
which is going from a monetary-based system to a resource-based system. That's what it's all about, because this money thing's just, I have to say, I don't like it. So now we're up to part 5. I didn't expect to be this far behind. It took a bit of time, took last time. But we're going to talk about food production and transport, because there's a really interesting young lady, I think just about everybody's seen this now, called Seven Suzuki.
What?
Seven Suzuki.
I've heard about
No, well, in 1992, she went to Rio de Janeiro to the Earth Summit and did a 5-minute speech. And if you look at it, it's called "Girl Who Shut the World Up for 5 Minutes."
it. Oh no, I did saw her.
Okay.
Yeah, this is young.
12 years old.
Spanish.
Yeah.
Good.
12 years old.
Yeah, I did saw. Sorry.
Went there and basically did this whole talk about it, and she's still doing it, but now she's doing it with an education behind her to back that up. And one of the things she says is food, most foods transport, most foodstuffs actually have a journey of between 1,500 and 2,500 miles.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah. So when we talk about growing food and food production, I think the biggest step that we can do is make foodstuffs grown locally. And I saw an advert the other day. I don't think this is a real country, but the whole philosophy behind it is what's going on in the world. We're talking about these wonderful oranges which come from this country in thousands of miles, and everybody wants it in their orange, you know what I mean? So instantly you look at it and you think, well, okay, so there's oranges grown there which, because they've got such a good report, are being transported all over the world. What the hell are we doing that? Let's grow them locally. I've actually picked oranges, and they're a really strange thing, because when I was picking them, on the branches they've got thorns from this size to like this size. They're actually growing oranges now and genetically modifying them to the point where they don't have thorns anymore, the trees. Yeah? So instead of having big thorns, they're just clear branches. I don't agree with this at all, even though it really hurts when you're picking them. You have to wear big, thick gloves to do it. So what? It's a natural process. Start messing with them, and as we've seen, they lose the nutritional value, the vitamins, all the rest of it. So yeah, I disagree with this, but first and foremost, grow food locally. Don't send off to Madagascar for these beautiful oranges because you can't get them anywhere. What rubbish. Oranges are oranges. And because we drink most of them in soda, so, you know, I used to work with food, okay, and I pick on this all the time. Peas. The only difference between the really expensive peas and the really cheap peas is the packaging. Argue with me all you want. I've worked with them, I know. I was there. I used to work with peas. The only difference was the packaging. The same. No difference. Cheap ones, more expensive. I know this. So, grow locally. And there are so many alternative growing methods now that we really, there's no excuse for, oh, you can't grow them here, you can't grow them there. We've got vertical growing, which is a really interesting thing. The way they do it is LED lighting, which use less energy, so it produces less heat, so you can have the lighting nearer to the system, the plants. then you can start, that's when you can start layering the vegetables. So you can have one vegetable here and above that you can have another vegetable. It's an amazing thing. You can check all this stuff out on YouTube, Google, whatever, it's all out there. There's no reason we cannot do these things. In fact, and you're going to like this, there's a guy called John Apsos, I hope I've got that right, in Amsterdam, who's been doing this for a few years in Amsterdam now. And he's saying that he should, by now, have the first vertical growing building going. And he uses office buildings. And I heard somebody ask him, why do you use office buildings? And as he says, because there's loads of them out there that are empty. Yeah, because big corporations are emptying the businesses from Europe and sending them out abroad, and they just leave the buildings, they don't do anything with them. So we've got buildings left, right and centre everywhere in the world that we can use to start this vertical growing process. There's a guy called Peter Andrews. Check this man out. He's another guy, he's been at this 30 odd years with permaculture, and for 30 of those years everybody was saying, oh, you're mad, you're crazy. But consistently he's proved that his system works. And there's a great photograph, if you can come across it, of where he had one of his farms. And you've got all this deserty, sandy land coming up to him on the long side of this river. You come up to this little bit where he is and it's like a beautiful green oasis.
Really?
Oh really?
Who was it?
Beautiful. Peter Andrews. Beautiful green oasis, then you come past it and you go back to the sandy, horrible land. So he's been doing this for 30 years. Now after all these 30 years of him going, you're mad, you're mad, you're mad, all these people who were supposed to be experts are now running to him going, how do you do it? How did you do it? And it's really easy. I'll give you a little thing about what he does. He slows, when it's rainy season, he actually slows the flow of water down. He doesn't stop it, because that's some of the complaints that the neighbours were thinking. He's going to stop our water, but he doesn't. He just slows it down, lets it go into the land, and it lasts longer because he slowed it down. It's an amazing process. You can see it as clear as day. There's a thing called green in the deserts. Yeah, there's a green in the deserts. You can see this. If you put Israel, green in the desert, green in the desert. There's a guy called Jeff Lawson, I think, who's been doing this quite a while. Another guy called, sorry if I get this name wrong as well, Menahem Perlmutter, who's been doing this in Israel for a long, long time. So we've got ways and means of making totally land that is just sandy, horrible land, and we can turn it into arable land. There's also something else, I found this out a few years ago, black soil.
Sorry?
Black soil, and it's taken from the bottom of riverbeds. And what you do is you've got a piece of land that's just been used too much, you can't grow anything on it. Put black soil on it, boom, it regenerates everything, and you can grow things on land that you couldn't before. Brilliant stuff. We could talk about this all night, to be honest with you, because there's so much permaculture now that's going on in the world that we've got ways and means of growing food. I mean, we're even growing food in the sea. Okay, it's seaweed, but seaweed is food. We've just got to adapt our way of thinking to accept that it is a food stuff. The Japanese, I think, use it quite a lot. No. So it's coming across now. We've got the sushi bars and that. Bringing it back to a local level, in Amsterdam, there's it's a squat. It's called the Swamp. And what they do is every spring, summer, they have a little initiative going where they have squatters, students and the local community working all next to each other with these little pieces of plots of land to grow things. Not necessarily food, but it can be adapted to growing food. But it's the thing I'm talking about is the community feeling you get. I've done it. I did it last year, and there's just such a wonderful feeling of working together with other people that you normally you wouldn't even go near. You know, so to do this, once again, it's all about self-realisation. There's a group called Transitional Towns Network. They're coming quite big. Well, they are quite big, and they've only been going since about 2004. But it's a platform for anybody out there who's got these great ideas of just making the neighbourhood maybe look a bit better. I know in England there's a village where they're actually growing foodstuffs on public land for the village, and from what I've read about it, there seems to be a real positive reaction by the community itself. They're not just going in there and going nah, 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 nah. They're being fair about it, and they understand that it's a community thing. So lots of people get the benefit of this thing. So if they can do it, we can do it. Anybody can do these things. You don't need permission, you can do it. Just do it. You know your governments, I'm going to say this again, you know your governments are not working for you. So start working for yourself, start working for your community. We get these things local, build, until we've got a worldwide community of communities, which is small but a part of a bigger community that's around them. And if there's a certain little communities that can't grow enough food for themselves, well then become part of a bigger community. Work it out between yourselves so that you're feeding each other, you're making sure nobody has to go through bins, nobody has to skip. Even though I see nothing wrong with it, apart from we should not have to be doing that. They should be taking the foodstuffs that they're chucking away and handing it out anyway, but they don't. They just throw it into bins so it gets chucked away. Did you know? There's a study done. I'm quoting here. This is not me. If we took just the food that the shops throw away every day, there would be enough food to feed the planet 3 times. Every single person, 3 times over.
Can I add something?
Yeah.
Actually, my mother told me about there's a volunteering group, a really big group in Amsterdam, who is just once a month or something. I don't know how many times, but they walk around all the supermarkets and store, and they get all the vegetables and everything they want to throw away because the date that's on it expires.
Yeah.
But actually, it's still good. So then they cook really a lot, and they just go stand there and just. Giving it around to show people that it's still good. You don't have to judge food because of its date, but the way it smells or looks. So there are people doing it.
Yeah. Well, this is what I say.
Yeah.
Did I not say this from the start? Everything I say is being done. Everything. There's nothing I'm talking about here that is not being done somewhere in the world. All I'm saying is, let's start adapting this everywhere. Take back the power, grow your own food, support your community. Even if I've said this to my family and they've done it. We now have got to start thinking we are in a war situation. With that, we have to start thinking of ourselves as a community to build it. Because the governments are not working for you, okay? They're making it harder and harder for you to live. And I mean, if you look at some of the stuff they're doing, in America, they're trying to make nutritions toxins. Yeah, can you believe